Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Now to Zimbabwe, where the current president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, along with his predecessor, Robert Mugabe, had previously vowed never to reverse the controversial seizures of white-owned farms. More than 4,000 of them were taken 20 years ago, many of them violently by Mr. Mugabe's supporters. It was, Mr. Mugabe said at the time, to reverse colonial-era land grabs, but the seizures were blamed for destroying Zimbabwe's economy. Now, though, there's been a shift from the current leader, Mr. Mnangagwa, who is promising to return some farms to try to repair relations with Western countries. The policy of seizing those farms under Mr. Mugabe soured relations with the West as farmers fled, sometimes with only the clothes on their backs. Allowing mainly EU citizens to now reapply for seized land is seen as an important step towards mending relations and complying with international court judgments against Zimbabwe.
There are so many white farmers who don't have farms anymore as a result of the land reform. But I think they have a role to play in terms of skills in the farming sector for productivity. What is required, we need more of such interaction where farmers' organizations invite me and I articulate my policy to the people, to the farmers. So you find comfort and you know what is possible and what is not possible. There are some people who are still behind, who still feel that if, in fact, let me tell you, I know of some chefs, mostly senior chefs like me, we have moved from one farm to another. They see a very prosperous farm, they say, Wanoida, Botora, and then they run it down. Then he leaves that farm and has issued another one. He runs it down. Some of them are at the third and fourth farm, running farms down. That time is gone.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa there. Well, for more on that, I'm joined now by Arise correspondent Thamsanqa Zhou, who has been following this story closely and is himself from Zimbabwe. Tam, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, just explain to us what the Zimbabwe government is actually doing over this issue of seized land from white farmers. Is it all about re-engaging with the Western world?
Well, Charles, that appears to be the case, but there's a very short history to it. In 1980, when Zimbabwe became independent, there are people who bought land, who were Zimbabweans, black Zimbabweans, who bought land in 1980 after independence. Most of them had been in the diaspora, they were coming back home, and there were a lot of white people at the time who were prepared to sell, who were not sure what a new black majority leadership would look like. But there was also something else that Robert Mugabe did at the time. He reached out to countries like Germany, Switzerland, or even Britain, and assured them that if they had any citizens who were prepared to come to Zimbabwe after independence to buy land and be part of the agricultural process, their land was going to be guaranteed. And the government of Zimbabwe at the time signed what you call the bilateral treaties that were supposed to protect the investment that had been done into that land. So what the government of Zimbabwe is talking about now, Charles, just to remove that confusion, is those foreign nationals, whether they were Swiss or Germany or whatever country they would have been from, who bought land in Zimbabwe, in an independent Zimbabwe, and had been promised that because of the bilateral treaties that Zimbabwe had with these European countries, that their land was secure, their investment was secure, they can claim that land back. So that is what is being spoken about. And also, if you are black, you are Zimbabwean, you bought that land after independence, you can also claim that land back if that land has been taken during the course of this post-2000 land redistribution process. So this is what is being spoken about. But the other colonial legacy issues where you are a white former farmer, you got that land through the colonial system. If that land has been taken away, those people are part of the agreement that the government signed on the 29th of July with those white former farmers. That's a separate process. What is being spoken about now is just the guarantee that was given that if you were a foreign national, you bought that land after independence in Zimbabwe, that land was protected by the international bilateral treaty. That is what is there. And also, if you were black and you lost your land, you are entitled to go back and claim that land. If it is not possible to get it back, then you can claim compensation for both the land and the developments or improvements that would have been done or infrastructure on that particular land. Charles?
Well, thank you very much indeed, Tam, for clarifying that point. But clearly there are two issues here, as you pointed out, the issue that was signed in July and the issue that was signed today. But of course, people are seeing it as one and the same thing. And I understand that it's not a very popular decision in Zimbabwe to return this sort of seized land to white farmers, because I mean there's been quite a few comments on social media suggesting that this is a betrayal and questioning why Zimbabwe should hand back land to foreigners, because I mean the mantra has always been that the land is an irreversible issue, has it not?
That is the case, Charles, and I think in a way President Emmerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe should be commended for being a brave politician. I saw the clip that you played. He actually went to the white community before the election in 2018 and promised them that they needed to be part of the Zimbabwe agricultural enterprise going forward. They can find space either working with those that now have the land or within the marketing or logistics or investing as partners. But I think what you're talking about here is a president who knows that the land issues are emotive. They are the reason why Zimbabweans went to war in the first place, to get their land back. And anything to do with the land can cost an election even, but President Mnangagwa is being brave to make sure that he doesn't kick these issues in the long grass. The constitution of Zimbabwe that was agreed and voted for unanimously in 2013, Section 295 of that constitution speaks exactly to these issues, says that those that were part of the bilateral agreements and the treaties with other countries, their land must be secure, they must get their land back. And those that lost their land because they had got it from the colonial times, they will only get compensation for the infrastructure and improvements on the land. So these are things that are constitutional, but I spoke to President Mnangagwa's people, and what they are saying is this, that they want to prove to the world that Zimbabwe is a country that respects the rule of law, that respects the agreements that were set even during Robert Mugabe's era. They believe that when you invest in a country, once you are invited to invest in a country like Zimbabwe, your investment must be secure, and whatever the political costs, they are prepared to follow that through. It's in the constitution. It is also part of the international agreements. They say President Mnangagwa wants Zimbabwe to be known as a country that will attract investment and protect that investment, whatever the cost back home. But of course, there are a lot of people who are anxious. They are saying, well, they took the land, it's their land, they are farming on it, or they are doing certain things. Why should they be moved away from that? So that is what is going on. It's very tricky, but very bold from this President, Charles.
Well, Tam, I expect it's going to be, the word tricky, I think, is very appropriate, because I understand there's a lot of fear that those, as you said, who were resettled on those lands, the blacks who have made some developments and are farming those lands, are now going to lose their farms. We'll have to watch and see. Tam, thank you very much indeed. Thamsanqa Zhou our correspondent there, talking to me about developments in Zimbabwe. Well, that's it for this edition of the Arise interview. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.